Hey, welcome to episode number 5 of the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. I am Jessica Lorimer, sales coach and leadership expert, and I can't wait to dive into today's topic. Pretty much the same as every other episode, right? I mean, I never wake up and go, oh, I don't want to talk about that today. But I am especially excited about this one because this series today is all about the only 3 things that I do to generate immediate revenue in my business. Okay. Now, I'm so excited about this one because I really believe that cash is absolutely king. And more importantly, cash flow in your business is super important as a business owner, right? Because there are certain sales skills that you need to have. One is the kinds of sales in your business that are automated, passive, or recurring revenue that give you the ability to predict your income, that are reliable income sources so that every month you're not starting from zero. Those are hugely, hugely important cash flow or sales opportunities to have in your business. But sometimes life happens, right? It throws us a curveball. I will never, ever forget the time that I lent my car, being the good girlfriend that I am, lent the car to my boyfriend for a little while. And somehow, one day it stopped working. And somehow, through no fault of his or his driving, it ended up breaking and costing me over £1,000 to repair. Not that I'm still bitter about this at all, or that I bring it up regularly, but seriously, right? It happens. Life throws us curveballs. Sometimes we want to go on holiday. Sometimes we want to hire that new team member. Sometimes we want to take the course, hire the coach, pay for the new piece of technology or software that we know is going to take our business to the next level and help us scale. And it's during those times that actually cash flow becomes really important. Because sometimes you just don't have the money right there to pay in full or to, get the VIP option. And actually, sometimes that's really difficult. And you kind of think to yourself, oh my goodness, I just wish I could magic up another $1,000 or $5,000, whatever it is, to have the money to do whatever it is that you want to do. Okay, we've all been there. I have been there on numerous occasions. And one of the very, very valuable sales skills that I learned is the one that I'm about to share with you today. The 3 things that you must be doing if you want to generate immediate cash flow in your business so that you can go ahead and reinvest that into a new team member, to reinvest it into your business in some way, or even if you just, want to pay for your broken car. I promise that is the last time I'm going to mention that today. Okay. So we've established that cash flow is really important, and it really is, for all business owners. It's something that is integral to the running of your business and also integral to the long-term success of your business. If you are able to generate cash on demand, it's going to be an awful lot easier for you to operate as a business. It's going to make you an awful lot more successful. And ultimately, it's going to mean that you are the kind of business owner who is prepared for anything, because ultimately there are going to be times in your business where you do need to make cash quickly, and you don't want to do it while feeling sleazy. You don't want to do it being out of integrity. You don't want to hack off all of your previous clients by reducing your one-on-one rates or suddenly slashing your prices, and driving them bonkers. But you do have a need to generate quick cash flow for whatever reason that might be. It's a life skill. It really is a life skill. So let's dig in. Let's talk about how we can actually do that. Now, the process that I use to generate immediate cash flow into my business is really, really simple. There are only 3 steps because, as we all know, I like to keep it really easy. And the first step is all about assessment. Okay, so it's actually looking at your business and saying, right, I know in business that the people who are most likely to buy from me are the people who are most engaged with me, the people who already know me, who already like me, who already trust me. In other words, your warm audience. Now, you might be somebody who has a really engaged Facebook group. You might be somebody who hangs out on Twitter, Instagram might be your jam. You might even have people who open every single email that you put out there, or sign up for every webinar, every piece of content, every free thing that you do. And those people are your warm audience, right? Those people who know you, like you, trust you, and are kind of obsessed with you and your content, but in a really good way, right? Not a creepy way, in a great way. And you need to assess, how many people do I actually have in my warm audience? So how many people do I have in my Facebook group? How many people do I have on my email list? How many of these uber engaged people do I have on my email list? So, if you're with ActiveCampaign, I'm with ActiveCampaign and love them. You can actually go through and you can see who's opened every email, who's been your top engaged subscriber. And you can actually find out this data relatively easy on any platform that you are on. But ultimately, once you've assessed your warm audience, you have a number of people. Now that might be 20, it might be 200, it might be 2,000, it might be 20,000. It really doesn't matter, because ultimately, in order to generate a large amount of cash in a short time period, you don't need to have hundreds of thousands of followers. Okay, I know, shock horror, myth busted. Jess has blown every guru out of the water by telling you that you don't need 100K or 100,000 people, I should say, on your email list in order to make money. And you don't, right? You really don't. Not to generate quick cash, okay? So I want you to be honest with yourself and really assess your warm audience. How many people do you really have, okay? Now, once you've looked at how many people you have in your warm audience, so how many people who know you, like you, trust you, and are obsessed with you and your content, you need to have something to actually sell them. Now, I know, again, please forgive me and don't think I'm being flippant because I'm making this so simple, but it really is. And the reason that I make it so simple is because I have so many people who come to me and say, it must be so complicated. It must be so difficult. I'm finding it really hard. Therefore, it is very difficult to make money. And it's actually not. However, you don't know what you don't know. So just because I make it really simple, it doesn't mean that right now you're not struggling with this problem. Okay. And I want to make sure that people know that. So, you're not feeling like I'm teaching you something that is ultimately not going to work. This stuff is exactly what I teach my paid clients. It's absolutely awesome and it works. Okay. So the second step after you've assessed your warm audience is have a stupidly sellable offer. Now, people often get confused about this because what I think is stupidly sellable for my audience is not always what they feel is something that they immediately have to put their hands in their pockets, whiz out those credit cards and buy immediately. And there's two reasons for that. One is because ultimately, even though I know my audience really well, I'm still not them. I can't solve problems if I don't know what the answer is. I can't solve problems if I don't know what they're struggling with. And the second reason is that, your audience, they like to actually be involved with the offer creation process. So if you bring something out there that they've never heard about and that kind of doesn't really meet their expectations or needs, they're not going to purchase it. Okay. So when I say have a stupidly sellable offer, we need to think about creating something. And I like to do this. I like to create something specifically for this immediate cash generation. Okay. Now, when we're looking at this, we need to look at a couple of things. What is your audience's current biggest pain point? What's the thing that's keeping them up at night? What's the thing that they're really, really struggling with? Now, if you have a really engaged community or you have this warm audience, no matter how big or small that might be, you ask them. You can put up the Facebook post, you can put it out there to Twitter, you can ask it on Instagram, send it out to your email list and say, hey, I'm just wondering, what is the one biggest problem that you have right now with sales, marketing, your relationship, your health, whatever it might be? Just asking them, what is your biggest problem right now? Now, open-ended questions can be challenging. So if you have a really good handle on your audience, which you should, you should be engaging with them regularly and communicating with them regularly, you should have a couple of ideas of things that potentially they might be struggling with. And so sometimes it can be easier, especially in Facebook groups, to list out, hey, where are you struggling right now? And give them a few options. Are you struggling with list building? Are you struggling with tribe building? Are you struggling with making money? It doesn't matter what your questions are, but ultimately giving them that guideline will help them understand what it is that you're trying to do and what you're going to create. So you need to do your market research on this. Don't just go out there and be like, oh, cool, I'm going to slash all my prices, because you'll get a few sales, but you will also really, really irritate people in your tribe who've bought it for full price and then been very upset that you've just halved it a day later. Okay, so go out, ask the question, what's your biggest problem right now? And then actually solve the problem with your offer. Okay, so if your audience come back to you and they say that their biggest pain point is losing that last 10 pounds, you can create an offer that is focused on helping them lose that last 10 pounds. Okay, now this does a couple of things. A, it makes your offer stupidly sellable because you are solving their most immediate pain point at that time. And B, it shows your audience that you're actually listening to them. And that's really important. Like, people want to be heard. Okay, so when you go out to your audience and you say, hey, what's your problem? And then you create an offer that solves that problem, not only do they know that that offer is going to help them transform themselves, their life, their wealth, their business, etc., beyond their wildest dreams, they also know that you've actually taken the time to listen to their feedback in the first place, to their market research or their market validation. And they know that the course is going to help them with the exact things that they're struggling with. Okay, so it's really, really important. And that will help you create a stupidly sellable offer. Now, the third thing you need to do, so let's recap quickly. We've assessed your warm audience. We've assessed the amount of people that you have in your audience. We've created an offer that helps with their biggest pain point right now. The final piece is we need to sell it. Okay, we need to actually sell that offer. Now, you can do this in a variety of ways. You can sell your offer through Facebook. You can sell it through your email list. You can sell it on a Facebook live stream. You can sell it, on Periscope if you're rocking that platform out. But ultimately, you need to be able to pitch that like a pro. Okay, so when we're talking about pitching your offer, there are a few different tips and tricks here that you can use depending on what you are selling. Now, what you are selling is ultimately going to depend on the amount of cash that you need, right? So a couple of things to bear in mind here. If you are looking to make, let's say, 5K plus, and your audience isn't that large, please pick a high ticket or premium offer. Okay, so something that is over $1,000. Okay, there are reasons behind this, but the main reason is, of course, it's going to be much easier to make 5K by selling $5,000 packages than it is by selling $1,050 packages, unless you have a huge audience. You've got a large volume of people that are going to be getting their eyes in front of that offer. So if you have a smaller audience, you really want to be thinking, okay, what kind of premium or high ticket offer can I put in place that is going to ultimately give my audience the biggest transformation in the area that they're struggling with, but also bring me the maximum amount of revenue from the least amount of customers. Okay, I'm not sure whether that was grammatically correct. Okay, I'm really not sure. I'm not sure it was the least amount, but I'm sure someone will tell me. Someone can write in and tell me whether my grammar was okay there. But yeah, so if you're selling that premium offer, in terms of pitching it like a pro, you need to be getting people on the phone. The easiest way to sell something that is $1,000 plus is to get people on a call, actually have the conversation with them, because ultimately, whilst most entrepreneurs will drop anything under $1,000 on a course or a program or a service, anything over, they want to talk about. They usually want some kind of reassurance. They usually want to check that it's the right decision for them. And they usually want to have a chat with the person who is going to be delivering it or running it for them, just so that they can be sure that that's the right decision for them to make. Okay, so if you're selling a premium offer, you need to be getting people on the phone with you all day long to pitch that out correctly. Okay, and if you're struggling with pitching on the phone, make sure you head over to episode 1 of the podcast, where I run through my exact sales call structure with you, and you can use that and you'll be absolutely golden. Now, if you've assessed your audience and actually you have more traffic and you think, okay, I've got actually quite a lot of people who are warm, who are engaged, who are excited about my content and about me, then you can put out something that is a lower priced offer. Okay, so you might be thinking, my audience's biggest pain point is something that I haven't run a program around before, or I don't actually have something that is existing right now. So I'm going to create something. I'm going to create something brand new. I'm going to create a beta round of something, or a beta round if you're in the US, of a program or a service that's going to help them with this particular problem. Now, those kinds of things are perfect. I've run a lot of beta programs or beta programs during my kind of 3 years in business, and they've been hugely successful and always gone on to become long-term programs, whether they're passive, automated, or live in my business. And the reason they work so well is because obviously you can get testimonials, you can get immediate feedback from people, and you can create the very best version of that program for your audience that's possible. Now, obviously, if you're running a beta program, if you're running something that's new, that actually needs to be in front of as many people as possible, because it is a lower price, in order to get the amount of sales that you want. You want to be thinking about pitching in a kind of one-to-many model. Okay, and what I mean by that is using something like a webinar or a challenge, or something where you are pitching to a volume of people at one time, rather than having to talk to everybody individually and getting them on the phone. Okay, now I would recommend that if you are starting out, if you have a smaller audience, start with that premium offer. And if you have, if you're somebody, even somebody like me, you've got a Facebook group, kind of 2,000 people, you've got a good email list, everybody's engaged, then you can start with a different kind of offer. You could start with something brand new. You could start with something that is lower price. That's totally fine. But ultimately, you need to be thinking in terms of the sales part, in terms of how I'm going to sell this offer. Am I going to be getting people on the phone, or am I going to be selling it in a one-to-many manner? So on that webinar, on a challenge, on some or in some way that there are numerous people listening to that pitch. Now, that really is it. In order to generate immediate cash flow in your business, you only need to be doing those 3 things. Assessing your warm audience, assessing how many people you have that are warm, engaged, know, like, and trust you, creating a sellable offer that meets the biggest pain point of your audience right now, and that's going to help you hit the cash goal that you're looking for. And then thirdly, you need to pitch it like a pro. Your sales skills have got to be on point, and you've got to decide whether you're going to be selling that in a one-to-one manner, so on the phone, or a one-to-many manner, on a webinar, on a challenge, at a speaking event, whatever that looks like for you. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please head on over to that little subscribe button on iTunes and leave us a review as well, because it's always good to know how we're doing. We love any feedback. I love any feedback, but also my team, they love feedback too. So if there's anything that you particularly like about the podcast, about the show notes, about the graphic that we use, or anything else that you can think of that you'd like to leave us some feedback on, please head over to iTunes, hit subscribe, and hit the review button and let us know. And in the next episode, we are going to obviously be having another laser coaching session where I'm going to be finding out the biggest sales question from one of my favorite entrepreneurs on the internet right now. So I will be seeing you back here for episode 6. I'll be doing some live laser coaching, answering the biggest sales question from one of my favorite entrepreneurs on the internet. And then I'll be back here for a deep dive training next week on Monday, where I'll be talking about the 3 things that you must do every day to make money, honey. Awesome. Hit that subscribe button and make sure that you are there. I'll see you in the next episode.